What's going on, everybody? It's HPTV, and this is your host, Gary Heyer. Every once in a while, you find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, how the heck did I meet this person, or how am I sitting across from this person? And today is definitely one of those days. I had the opportunity to meet Hall of Famer Dermontti Dawson a few weeks ago. Dermontti, how you doing, brother?
Gary, I am doing well, partner.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, hey, no problem.
Yeah. So, Dermontti Dawson, Hall of Fame NFL player from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now a lot of people look at a lot of professional athletes and like, oh man, they got it so good. They're just gifted, this and that and the other. And a lot of people don't understand, like, it's a lot of hard work consistently every single day. Talk about what that grind looked like. Like, what did your path look like going from the high school ranks and the college ranks and all that stuff, and some of the lessons that you learned along the way? With obviously you don't have a long NFL career. I mean, you said you spent 12 years. How long was your career again? Was
13
it
years.
13 years total.
Seasons total.
You don't just do that by just gift, like it just God's gift talent of being able to put a football in your hands and do something.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that experience. What was that like?
Well, for me, going from, I only played 2 years of high school ball.
Okay.
And I was a track All-American. I was a 4.4 sprinter. But my coach, Mr. Woodall, Paul Woodall, he wanted me to kind of concentrate on field events, javelin, shot, and discus.
Okay.
So I ended up winning the state both my junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, I guess I had a lot of track scholarships to multiple universities. But then I played football my junior and senior year, and then next thing you know, they were coming. Some of the scouts were coming to check out some of the other players on our team.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, they're looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have scholarship offers all over the place.
Wow.
And then I got to University of Kentucky in '83, and they redshirted our whole freshman class.
Really?
Except for three or four guys that weren't redshirted.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you want to play.
Oh yeah.
But, of course, I didn't play. And then I started my junior year in college.
Okay.
In my senior year. But, as we were talking about, you can have athletic ability, but if you're not really ready to put into work,
Mm-hmm.
and, and I think I was telling you this as well about my coach, Jerry Claiborne, who was my college coach. But, Jerry Claiborne's motto was, be the best. And, coming out of high school, you don't really think about, immature, just trying to do what you can do to get on the field. But
Mm-hmm.
he used to always break it down and say, hey, be the best. And he said, I don't care if that's being the best son, being the best father, being the best, football player. Whenever you try to do something, try to make sure you're doing the best that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I kind of preach to kids, because really I took that to heart my junior year, and I'm working out, I'm trying to get stronger, trying to work on some of my weaknesses or deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the foundation for me that carried over when I was drafted to Pittsburgh in '88. Because I had great leadership too with Mike Webster, seeing him as an example how he prepared to be a pro, and how he conducted himself, each and every day, getting ready for a game, whether it be in the weight room, in the classroom, on the field. He was always number one, in drills,
Mm-hmm.
and he led by example.
Mm-hmm.
So when Mike left in '89 to go to Kansas City, and then I was named the starter, I said, well, hey, I'm going to do the things that Mike did, because that's the way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
prepare and lead by example.
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm team captain. The next thing, and then my career just kind of took off after that,
Yeah.
And I made my first Pro Bowl in '92. And then from there on out, I made like 7 consecutive Pro Bowls and All Pro and All Decade Team, 2000s, and then ultimately enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2012, which is the ultimate for
That's the
you know,
ultimate
football
reward.
player.
It's the ultimate payoff.
It really is.
When you
And
get honored like that, man, that right there sets the elite from you know, and I'm not just talking about elite again in talent. We're talking to a man. I mean, you're talking about a lot of things. This is mindset. You know, you're talking about watching your peers and being able to say, okay, I like what he's doing, and staying away from the temptation and just grabbing this. I mean, you don't make a 13-year career on talent. You make it on being coachable, being a hard worker, like you said, striving to be the best. Now, you say strive to be the best. That's a comment that everybody's like, yeah, I know, that's cool. What did that mean to you? Like, what did that when you wanted to strive to be the best? I mean, there's as a college athlete, because I was a college player. I played basketball through the ranks, and then obviously into the pros. I mean, you got a lot of temptation coming at you. You got a lot of like offers, everything. The world's your oyster, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be strong-minded. What did be the best really look like for you?
Well, you have to be disciplined. You know, you got to be willing to put in the work. And for me, you know, that was making sure I took care of my body. You know, making sure that you know, if I had injuries and stuff, that I was taking care of them. You know, I wasn't out partying, I wasn't out drinking. You know, because my dad was an alcoholic, so therefore I took a vow that I was not going to drink, and because I saw his decline. And for me, it was just being steadfast and being consistent. And you know, so I just chose to work on myself and work on football and make sure I graduated college. And in the pros, I think that really helped me, having that foundation, not being afraid to try to be the best I can, you know, and then also leading by example, because I mean, that was my key, was just making sure that I did everything I could humanly possible to get myself physically ready and mentally ready for each and every season, you know, taking care of myself during the off season workouts, you know, whatever it may be. I mean, just being consistent in what I did.
So, like that's probably a formula that you see true through a lot of the elite and the Hall of Famers is that type of formula: staying consistent, staying disciplined, staying out of trouble, staying in the group, right? So what was that like? Like, we're talking about an organization, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a storied franchise, one of the best franchises in sports history. And you got to be part of that for 13 years. Now, what was that like, being like, seeing that you talked about, you got a revolving door of different athletes, but you also got your consistent that have been there for years. You saw some of these videos leading block for Jerome Bettis and stuff like that. What was that like, and what did your community look like as far as the team? Was there different pockets of social networks? Or was everybody a unit? How'd that look?
Of course, I mean, you always have your favorites. You know, the guys kind of click.
For sure.
And that's just part of it. You know, there are some guys that come there to the team for just a season or two. Then you have the guys who played, you know, extensively. You know, that I played 10 or 11 years with. And you know, those friendships, man, they last forever. And it's like, you know, when I talk to some of the guys now, it's like we've never been apart. But the camaraderie that we have because of what we went through together, you know, that was key. And it's just a consistency with the organization, which is great, you know, because if you look at some of these other franchises, you don't have that consistency. This is unheard of when you think about Chuck Noll was the first coach in 1970. He retired in 92 or 91. Bill Cowher came in 92 and then left in 2004, 2003. And then Tomlin comes in, and then he's been there 15 years. You know, so over the
that
last...
just shows you something right there.
Over the last 45, 46 years, it's been nothing but three coaches.
Three coaches.
Unheard of.
That is unheard of. I didn't even, stepping back and realizing that's awesome.
It is.
You talked a little bit about an injury and all that. Did you deal with a lot of injuries going through football, and what did that look like?
You know, as an NFL player, you're always, you know, dinged up a little bit. But there's a difference between being hurt and injured.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, it's a mindset, you know, and, you know, it depends on the personality of the person as well, because we always say don't go into tank. You know, guys who are trying to get a few days off of practice, you know, are you injured or are you hurt?
Right.
There's a difference. So, you know, if you can't go, then you're injured. But if you're hurt, sometimes you got to play through the pain. And that's just a, you know, mental toughness thing, you know, a personality trait that sometimes some guys inherently have it Some guys don't.
Yeah.
And, they will try to take the low road and make sure, where they can try to, opt out of practice and, weights and everything else. But, it takes a strong-minded person. And I think for me, I never wanted to let anybody down. And I wanted to be there because I wanted to be accountable to my teammates. And so I think we had a better chance if I were to be in there as opposed to somebody else.
Right.
So you kind of play through, injuries and of course, I mean, it's a little different than what it was back when I played because they have all the protocols now for the concussion protocols. But it used to be where if you injured yourself, they would give you the smelling salts and take you to the sideline and say, hey, do you know what stadium we're playing in? You know what team we're playing? You know the date?
Yeah.
And then, okay, yeah, I'm back in.
Like that.
Yeah, and and you get knocked out. I got kneed in the side of the head in Kansas City, was completely out.
Really?
They woke me up with smelling salts and went to the sideline. They said, you know where you are? The same answers or questions that they were I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
And I went right back in the game.
And you were out cold minutes.
Out.
Wow.
I remember knocking a guy down, looking up. I saw a flash, and then we saw the film when we came back on a Monday, and I got hit right in the temple, and I was out. But the protocol is different, though.
Yeah.
And
right.
Yeah, but I mean, we all NFL players deal with injuries or play hurt.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an unsaid thing. Sometimes you have, you're taking injections. You're taking high-dose anti-inflammatory medication.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that you do to try to get back out on the playing field.
Definitely.
And, yeah. So
I know what you're talking about. I've been through surgery. I've been through injuries myself and all that, playing through it. I've got teammates that done it too. I've got my own stories about the battle wounds and how I feel these days. How does that affect you now, Monty, as far as like the things that were done then? I mean, we talk about getting you right back on the field after getting knocked out. Talk about strapping it up with bad wheels or whatever, and playing injured all the time, and injections. I heard that. I'm sure that you had there's a lot of prescriptions and different things that you heard of what Brett Favre went through with his painkillers and stuff, and people. Is there any side effects now that you deal with that you think that maybe was part of some of those older protocols that have changed now that you feel like is going the right direction?
Well, cognitively, I don't feel any different.
Yeah.
Physically, I've had my surgeries to try to correct some of the wrongs and some of the injuries I had. But I don't feel any adverse effects from. Well, of course, my body is broken from football. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've had both shoulders. I've had the left shoulder. 2015, I had it repaired, labrum, rotator cuff, all that taken care of, and bicep tendon reattached. 2016, I had a right shoulder replacement. I need surgery on this left wrist of mine because I've got a torn ligament in here, and it bugs me a little bit. So it's hypersensitive. The nerve gets affected, and carpal tunnel as well. And then my left foot, I need surgery as well. But there's always things that kind of hurt. Knees hurt every once in a while. I'm very fortunate I don't have severe knee pain.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll ache a little bit, but not too bad. But that's my own fault because I'm always hiking in the canyon with my dog and myself.
You're staying active.
Sometimes. Yeah, stay active.
Well, that's why you look the way you do. I mean, you're still in great shape.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah. But sometimes I'm kind of limited because of some of the injuries that I have. Yeah. But overall, I think I'm doing well, compared to some of the other guys at my age.
We talked a little bit about, morning routines and how you get your day started and stuff like that. Now that you're a retired athlete and we got to pay a little more attention to some of the things that we're doing, we talked about juicing, like getting a juice in the morning. Like there's certain things that I have a certain regimen. Do you have a certain regimen about life to keep your energy going and to really focus on giving your body the best fuel possible?
Well, I kind of changed my diet. And this has been about a year ago. And at one point I was still lifting pretty heavily, and until I had the shoulder replacement. It kind of varies day to day.
Yeah.
I don't really have a set schedule each and every day. But I am regimental in the morning. I like that regimen. Now, as far as food is concerned, after changing my diet about a year ago. I try to make sure I've been trying to incorporate more vegetables and fruits, like in the morning and for lunch. Drinking water. I don't drink any milk or orange juice or anything like that. Anything with sugar in it in the morning.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure not loading up with carbs too late in the day.
Yeah.
But to kind of counter that, I'm also hiking in the canyon. I'm walking, the dog, and then also I'm working out at the gym.
Yeah.
So I try to get a little combination of things, and I'm going to start bike riding again here as well. So yeah.
I know when I was an athlete and in the thick of it, we think we're invincible, and you could put anything in your body because it just burning it off, and it wasn't really paying attention to the lean meats and the vegetables and the fruits. It was just like, let's just eat a lot of it because we're just those type of guys are just burning constant. And we could afford it at that time. But you then retire and you move on. Like for me, I went into the business world and started a family and started, just continued eating whatever I wanted. And all of a sudden, like years go by and I'm just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, wait, all this time passed by like that. And here I am, 285 pounds and soaking wet in bacon grease. And I'm like, what's going on? What was that transition like of saying, okay, I can do... Feeling invincible, right? Feeling like you can conquer the world because you're a Hall of Fame athlete. You've got a 13-year career, and now it's done. And so now you've had to make some decisions later in life on what you're putting in to fuel your body, right? What was that transition like for you? Was that difficult to make those decisions and make that move? And
well, at first, when I first retired after 2000 season in 2001, that was the first thing I did was try to lose the weight. So I was weighing 310 pounds at the time. So I was playing basketball.
Okay.
And so that really helped, but I wasn't changing my diet. I was just getting exercise.
Okay, yeah.
And hoping it was going to melt off, but it wasn't the case. And then I ruptured my patella tendon in a slam dunk contest in 2000.
So you're 310 getting up and slam dunking it.
Yeah. I've always been able to jump.
Yeah, well, and running a 4.4 too. I mean, that's one heck of an athlete. So go,
I was trying to do a tomahawk slam, from the baseline, and when I planted, my patella popped, and some of the guys thought that I slipped.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's either my quad or my patella. And so they ended up taking me to the emergency room. But long story short is that after I tore that patella, then I stopped playing basketball. And, I really didn't change my diet a whole lot. I was lifting more, and after I went through rehab with my knee. But, I was just lifting, and I was still kind of bulky. And I dropped maybe about 15 pounds down to about 295, but I was still pretty thick because I was lifting all the time. But really, like I said, prior to, I guess about a year ago, that's when I started changing my diet, eating more vegetables and fruits and incorporating nuts, drinking more water, not drinking milk, not eating a whole lot of sweets at nighttime. I still like a little chocolate at nighttime every once in a while, and I still like a cocktail. So I can kind of balance it out. With the exercise and just make sure I'm not overdoing it, but
everything in moderation. And if you're doing more of the vegetables and fruits and the waters, and then you mix in a little here and there for your pleasures, and that's fine. How have you noticed the difference in how you feel and how you're showing up just by changing that diet about a year ago?
Oh, hey, much better. Much better. I mean, and I'm sure it's attributed to the weight loss as well.
Sure.
Because I'm 265 now, but I'm trying to get down to my high school weight of 255.
Okay.
So I have 10 pounds left. So I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I think I'm going to have to shock my body and try to do something a little different than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And be probably less restrictive when it comes, more strict when it comes to my nightly regimen. I've cut down from 2 glasses of wine to 1 glass or a mixed drink. The size of the cup was pretty big because it was a pretty big tumbler. So now I'm trying to, reduce the size of that as well. And I think if I were to do it earlier, because what happens when you do it earlier, then you want another one before you go to bed.
Of course.
So, I've got to change up that habit, get rid of that one bad habit. And I think I can see I'll probably see some differences in the weight loss.
I'm laughing because my grandpa, when later in his life, he was a wine drinker, And it got to the point where they're like, okay, Ted, it's time for just one glass of wine a day. Like, that's it. You can have one glass of wine. So we'd be there hanging out, and all of a sudden you see Grandpa coming out holding the biggest glass of wine that he can, filled up absolute top. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's the way my glasses are at nighttime.
Yeah.
But I've tried to cut it back. But man, I tell you what, it's tough. Because my wife and I, when she comes home at 5:30, usually we go out back, sit on the lounge chairs and stuff, and talk about the day.
Yeah.
And last night we got in the hot tub, with cocktails, just sitting there, just relaxing, and then got out, took a shower, and went to bed.
Yeah.
But I'm going to change that up a little bit this year.
So last time we talked, we were hanging out. You were talking about golf a little bit, and you told me that about your ligament there in your wrist or tendon, and you're saying that you were using a leave a lot to help with the pain and the inflammation and stuff like that. And then you said you had to cut that out for a little bit, and you were looking for a solution. Days. And through the Hall of Fame, they introduced to you some CBD.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience. How have you enjoyed CBD in general? We're not specifically talking about my products, but in general, as far as like introducing that into your life, what has that done for you? Replacing Aleve, which is, we all are told to take these things to help these things, but it's a synthetic, right? Now you're using something natural, maybe not the same effect, but a little bit different. What's that been like for you?
Well, I tell you what, I found out that it really works because at the time I was having a colonoscopy, and you have to stop any anti-inflammatory medication 5 days prior to the procedure.
Yes.
So the same day I received, because the NFL is starting to experiment, or I can't say the active NFL, but NFL alumni, the retired guys. You have some of these companies that produce CBD products, and they're trying to get guys to do endorsements or video
testimonials.
Yeah. So I received the products the same day that I stopped taking the Aleve, getting ready for my procedure. So I started putting the ointment on. It's infused with DMSO, the CBD oil, and it's made from hemp. Then also I had the sublingual drops,
right,
and the tensioner. I guess that's how you pronounce it.
Tincture.
Tincture. So I started taking that the same day that I stopped the Aleve.
Okay.
And then after the procedure, I kind of noticed I was walking the dog, and my ankles weren't as sore, my knee wasn't as sore, my wrist was feeling pretty good. Rubbing the ointment on there, and then also taking the drops. So I continued with that. And I have not had any Aleve whatsoever since that procedure.
That's incredible.
Or 5 days prior to that procedure. So I know that it's working.
Yeah.
And I am a testimonial for it. And not to say it's a cure-all, but it has helped manage the pain and the inflammation in my wrist and my whole entire body. So I am a true believer now, and I am going to continue taking it.
That's awesome.
For the rest of my life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you tell me that you just told me the other day that you've got a neighbor that's dealing with some things, and you wanted to share some CBD with him, and we're going to hook you up with that. So I sent you some of our stuff, which you said,
yes.
Okay, so the stuff that you got from the NFL is a hemp-based CBD,
yes,
which is effective,
yes.
and it's been working because it is good. I mean, hemp has great cannabinoids, but then I sent you our full spectrum CBD that is derived from cannabis.
Yes.
How has that been treating you? Have you noticed any difference at all?
I have.
Really?
I have. Yeah, big difference.
Really?
Because I'm out of all the drops that they gave me, so I'm taking the full spectrum drops now.
Yeah.
But in reading, I know there's a synergistic relationship between the THC and the CBD.
Correct.
Where it works more effectively.
Yes.
And so that's why I've been using the drops, and then in the evening I'm using your full spectrum CBD,
the muscle
ointment.
gel.
Yeah. And so I'm using that, and the reason why I do that at nighttime, because once I take my shower, I don't care if I smell like a minty smell.
Right.
In the morning I don't want to do it, because I'm usually talking to people, and
right.
So I don't want them to think I have Bengay or
yeah, you're that retired guy with the
on
you're
my
the
body.
walking billboard for Bengay.
Yeah.
That's funny,
but
man.
Hey, it has made a difference in my body, and I tell you what, I am a true believer, man, and I'm going to continue to take it for the
There
rest
you
of my
have it.
life. Yeah,
That's fantastic. And I love that you're seeing more benefit out of the products that we're providing you, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, on
it's
another
amazing
note,
stuff.
you'd ask me about my neighbor too, because I was sharing that. I was playing golf with him
Okay.
Wednesday, and he had colon cancer.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's been dealing with. I have a problem pronouncing it.
Neuropathy.
Neuropathy. Yeah.
Right.
So he was just asking me about what have I been taking for any kind of pain that I deal with, and I just happened to mention about the full spectrum CBD. And told him, I said, man, I've seen significant, reduction of inflammation and everything else in my body. And because he sees me walking my dog all the time. And so I just shared with him about the products. And I said, look, when I go up and meet with Gary, I'm going to buy some and bring it back to you and let you try it.
There you go.
It won't be a cure-all. I mean, everybody's body's different.
Right. This is not a cure, but we have a system in our body that thrives off of cannabinoids. Our body actually creates them. So in our body that's creating these cannabinoids, we also have a system called an endocannabinoid system.
Yes.
And that system has receptors, and so it receives these cannabinoids and puts them to work within our immune system and our neurological system, our ability to fight off inflammation, etc. And yes, the combination of THC and CBD together really, really works well. I mean, even to the effect that CBD will, even if you're using a lot of it in a 1-to-1 ratio, you can actually bring down the high effect that you get from the THC a little bit. But what the THC does is it boosts the effect of the CBD.
Of the CBD, yeah.
And within cannabis, there's about 100 different cannabinoids. And we're only talking about 2. So it's fun because I got a partner that's really on the forefront of this, and he's exploring other cannabinoids and what we could do with them. I mean, there's a lot of other companies out there that are bringing out the CBGs and the CBNs and these different things. But it's amazing. And I'm so glad that you're seeing the benefits and that we're understanding that there is a difference between a hemp-derived CBD and a cannabis-derived CBD.
Yeah.
It's like going from 87 octane to 91. You know what I'm saying? You're just giving the race. And here's the thing. We all are $1 million race cars. Everybody's worth millions of dollars in their own right.
Yes.
So why aren't we taking care of ourselves better?
Oh, I know. And I just don't want, because of my history with playing college sports and professional sports for so many years and taking high dosage anti-inflammatory medication, and then having to continue that after I retire. I want to find something more natural to take and get off all the painkillers, anti-inflammatories, because I know the liver has to filter all that stuff out, and I'm sure that it causes damage long-term use. So I'm just happy that I'm starting to take the CBD and the full spectrum CBD, and that's what I'm going to continue to take.
It's amazing. And so what I have found, and I'm sure that you have been exploring a lot of this stuff because of where you're at in life and the person that you are, we have natural resources that can really benefit our entire body and all the different organs we have to detox. And it's right there within fruits and vegetables and herbs and water.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's amazing that we're seeing that. And I just want people to understand that they can make just minor little adjustments. It doesn't take a lot.
No, it doesn't.
Just mix in a few more vegetables. Put down the sodas and pick up the water. Use CBD instead of the synthetics that you buy over the counter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you see massive differences. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's got aches and pains all over his body. Inflammation could be going rampant in your body if you weren't paying attention to the things you were putting in. You'd probably be, not able to move and all that stuff.
Well, and that's what's happening to a lot of guys now, because they think they can eat the same, and with less exercise and activity, can't do it. The body's made to move.
Yeah.
And you may have some aches and pains, but you still have to move, because your body is made to move. That's how your joints get lubricated. And like I said, just making those small changes, and it can just be, just a incremental change in your diet or what you drink, because we live in this society where everything is quick, instant, fast food, everything else, but you need to take the time to watch what you're putting into your body, and it does make a big difference.
So this is a podcast to help inspire people to make a difference in their life. I've made it a mission to take my second chance, and now close to a third chance here. I look at these remissions, I guess you could say, as new chances on life that God's given me, and I want to share that with people. I want to give that second chance by sharing my story and all that. So in closing here, Monty, I'd like to ask you, like, what message can you send out to people that that are either, trying to figure some things out or fighting through some adversities, maybe dealing with some difficult stuff, because we've gone through high levels of sport. I mean, you're extremely high level. I went up through the college ranks. When you see those things, those sports, those relationships, and that type of grind relates directly to life.
Yes.
You take your discipline and it rolls right over typically. We were blessed to be able to go through those things and be tested to the brinks, like you said, being knocked out and being put right back in the game. Like, that's a mindset that translates in a lot of areas of life.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Not a lot of people have
and
that.
I tell you, the one key thing is attitude. Attitude is the key.
Okay.
To everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, dealing with sickness, dealing with family, dealing with personal problems, dealing with other people. It's all the way you look at it.
Right.
And I always try to tell people, I said, have a positive outlook, because what you put out there is what you get back. If you have a negative attitude, you're going to get negative things back. If you hang out with negative people, negative things are going to happen to you.
Right.
But if you have a positive attitude about whatever it may be, even if it's adversity, dealing with adverse situations. But I think attitude is the key. It's the way you look at it, because what you put out there and the thoughts you put out there is exactly what you get back. So having a positive attitude is key.
Yeah, and it's so hard in today's world, I think, even harder than just 10, 15 years ago, because of the amount of negativity that is being amplified.
Yes.
But you and I both know that there is way more love in this world than there is hate.
You better believe it.
You know what I'm saying? And it's our job to continue to bring that to the forefront. But it's hard, because as soon as you pull open your phone, you got a feed full of racism, you got a feed full of hate, you got a feed full of killing. I mean, we just had a killing spree a couple of days ago, 2 of them, 3 of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's so easy to stay down if you're down.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, I mean, everything that's put on the news is all negative, nothing good, because, good news doesn't sell.
Everybody's looking
Bad
for a train wreck to
sales.
watch.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, I mean, with the shootings in El Paso and Dayton, senseless. And then yesterday with the guy in full body armor with a gun strapped to him at the Walmart. And I can't remember what city it was in, but, luckily nothing happened.
Man, it's just...
But yeah, man, I mean, people, it just seems like the world's going to hell in a handbasket, It's just...
It seems
crazy.
that way. But again, I really want to believe, and maybe it's our outlook, but there is just way more love than there is all this hate. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
and I think that a lot of it has to do with mental illness out there. A lot of people are struggling. We've been through the ups and downs of economy and this and that. And I don't know. I don't understand why. I find reasons to love. I find reasons to smile, because there's enough in my life to bring me down.
Isn't that the truth? Even me, because I'm Mr. Happy all the time anyway. So I say hello to everybody in the morning. And sometimes, people look down or they won't respond to you. And some people say, you made my day by saying good morning to me.
Right.
And I'll just say hello to people. I do that all the time, whether I get a response or not. That's just me and my personality. But like I said, there's more love than hate out there in the world. Yeah. And you have to make a conscious effort to give love, because you receive love back. Sometimes it's not going to be equal, but hey, I'd rather err on the side of, being nice to somebody as opposed to being a bad person.
Yeah. And how does that feel for you when you get those type of comments back? Like, man, you made my day by doing something like that. Or just by your kindness.
It's great.
Doesn't it make you want to do it more?
It does.
Doesn't it fulfill your day a little bit?
It feeds you.
It feeds that fuel.
It does.
Right? It's all about, I say this all the time, you are what you consume. You are what you put out there in the universe. And I think the more that you could put that's good in your life that you could consume, so whether it's what you're eating, drinking, or what you're putting in your mind, or who you're hanging out with, it directly relates into how your mindset is.
It is. It really does. It really does. And I'm a true believer.
Yeah. Well, Monty, I mean, this has been an incredible opportunity to be able to hang out with you here in studio. I'm glad that we've become friends, and I just look forward to what the future holds and working with you in any capacity. Like you said, your neighbor that's dealing with colon cancer.
Yes.
I want you to know this, that two of the best conversations that I had at the beginning of my cancer battle was with two people that I didn't know.
Okay.
They went down the journey that I went down. They had been to the other side. They've been through the chemo. They've been through the radiation. They had the surgery and all that stuff, and then they were cancer-free or whatever that looked like. And they shared those stories with me, the dark, the good, the bad, the ugly. But what it did is it gave me a little bit of hope and a game plan, somewhat of a game plan to say, okay, this is how I got to move forward.
You got it.
So what I want to do is I want to extend myself to your friend and let you know that my number is open. He can call me. I would love to be that friend for him that could just be that glimpse of hope and inspiration that maybe there is something better. You know, we talk about water, and I got a couple gallons over here for you, and I'm gonna get some more for your friend too, because I believe that it's not just drinking more water or the amount of water you drink, it's drinking the right water.
Okay.
And I've learned a lot about that. I'm gonna share that with you off air, but I wanted to extend that to you, that anybody that you know that I can help out, you know, in all this, with whether it's knowledge or just using my story to give some type of
inspiration to them as well.
Inspiration or game plan, I'm here.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it,
man.
And I'm going to tell him. I talked to him, you know, Wednesday when we played golf, and I told him, I said, I'm coming up here to see Gary, and I'm going to get you some of that full spectrum CBD and the drops and the ointment as well.
Yeah.
And if he wants to talk to you, I'll give him your number.
That'd be fantastic, man.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. So, Monty, thank you for being here.
I appreciate you having me up here.
Yeah, man. It's such a pleasure. So, this is Higher Power Television, HPTV, where we help people thrive. And this was just another opportunity to bring a legend in studio to share his story, to share his hope and what he's doing in his life to just make things beautiful. And that's what we're trying to do, is just make a more better place for everybody. So thank you for being
We deserve it, and everybody else deserves it as well.
That's right, brother.
You got it.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
brother.
you.
All right. Cool.